All right, we shall begin. Thank you everyone for joining another VoIP Supply in Fanvil webinar. We greatly appreciate you taking the time out of your busy days to sit in with us. And today's a very exciting webinar. VoIP Supply has been looking forward to this with Fanvil for quite some time now. I'm your host, Brian Hyrick, and I am here with my brother-in-arms from Fanvil, Tommy Lee. Tommy, how's it going today?
Good, Brian. Thank you very much for the intro.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to tell us about what's new at Fanvil.
Oh, my pleasure. I mean, as those who know Fanvil very well, we're going to expand quite a bit in many of the different spectrums for 2024. And I thought we would take this today to kind of give you a quick peek at some of the things that we're going to be coming out with, which is pretty exciting.
And we're absolutely looking forward to that. And Tommy, if you'll take us through some of these slides, we would love to tell everyone why Fanvil, why VoIP Supply, and give a bit of background on the partnership here.
You got it.
All right. So those of you who know or do not know, VoIP Supply has been around a while. Since 2002, VoIP Supply has been a leading value-added distributor in the open source VoIP market space, okay? We're more than just a website. We're always rated one of the best places to work in Western New York. Our team is highly tenured here at VoIP Supply. Myself, I've been here, going on my 16th year at VoIP Supply. And many of those that I work with on the sales team and support team and warehouse team have been there even longer. We have a complete product catalog. Everything from the headsets all the way to the gateways, even SIP connectivity as well. I'll go to the next slide here, Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Response times too. VoIP Supply is super fast to respond. We have a live chat that we can get in touch with us immediately. You can always call in. We're ready to respond to you. And 99.9 of our VoIP Supply orders, even provisioned orders, ship the same day. So we can fully provision all of your private labeled Fanvil phones and ship them the same day, blind ship direct right to your customer. So it's a huge value add. It's something that we really pride ourselves in, and our provisioning and warehouse teams really pride themselves in that as well. VoIP Supply does have a partner program as well. We're a distributor for many brands, Fanvil being one of our favorites. You do get partner pricing with the Fanvil partner program. We also provide you with marketing materials so that you can go to market and have what you need to sell Fanvil products to your customers. Thanks to our awesome marketing team too. If you ever need email templates, blog posts, we got your back when you partner with VoIP Supply for that as well. You'll also have a dedicated sales rep. Again, most of our sales reps have been with VoIP Supply in some capacity for at least 12 years. We do have full cycle logistics as well. You can have access to a custom provisioning portal where you can see your own private inventory. You can upload your own custom provisioning profiles to each phone, each customer, or we could do simple URL directs. We even have the capability with the custom API for that provisioning portal to tie into your ordering service as well. So you can have full automation and not worry about hardware whatsoever. We can take that all off your plate and have your customers taken care of too with fully provisioned, tested, working perfectly phones delivered same day. I just touched upon the business automation that we can do. Definitely look up my contact information and I'll be reaching out to each of you for one-on-ones. Fanvil with VoIP fulfillment is really a powerful combination. I can't stress that enough. With their white label offering and VoIP supply provisioning, it really kind of becomes a bit of a business in a box for everybody. This is another slide kind of just describing that VoIP supply does have that API access. Even customer service requests and RMAs, you do get priority with VoIP supply when you are a fulfillment customer as well. You get complete reporting too. So you can see run rates on certain models. You can get alerted if you have private stock of you're reaching a threshold and you would like to make sure you're ahead and not running into any back orders by placing a stocking order. Next slide, please. With those provisioning services, we can also do custom labeling and branding. Now with Fanvil, it's really cool because there are neutral branded phones where VoIP supply can do very low minimum order quantities. Even if you need, 20, 25 phones, we could do a custom run of labels for you. So you can have your company name on the phones, not only just on the label, but the phones are neutral branded. So when the phones fire up, you can have your logo there right on the phone. VoIP supply can also do asset tagging on those phones with custom QR codes that you can scan, and maybe the customer experience for customer service is through that QR code, or additional add-ons as well. VoIP supply can also put custom sleeves around the packaging with your company branding on there. So it looks like everything's coming really right from your warehouse, and it's a complete white glove experience. And with that as well, I do want to stress that we do ship everything, well, 99.9% of everything same day. So even if you have up to 5,000 phones that you need to get out in a single day, VoIP supply has the capability to do that, and they have same day turnaround. It's something that we're very, very proud on. And a lot of major service providers throughout the industry lean on VoIP supply because of that capability. Also, when you partner with VoIP supply, you have access to reclaim and refresh. It's really cool because you can walk into a customer site and they can have older Cisco phones, older Polycom phones, and there's an opportunity for you to buy those phones back through VoIP supply's reclaim process. Again, on our one-on-ones, I could tell you all about that, but it's an opportunity for you to gain deals by reclaiming customers' old equipment. On the flip side of that as well, VoIP supply does have a complete inventory of reconditioned equipment that goes through a 10-step process here at VoIP supply. And we do offer same as new warranties on that equipment as well. That's my ugly mug. That's me, Brian Hyrek. You can take down my contact info there and contact me with any of your VoIP needs, your Fanvil partner questions. I'd love to help you out. Again, I've been with VoIP supply for 16 years, very passionate about the industry and passionate about taking care of my customers, and really love learning about each and every one of your business. So please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to help. Okay, we're about to pass the torch over to my compadre, Tommy Lee. But during this webinar, please ask as many questions as you'd like when they come up. There's a question bubble in the lower right-hand corner. We'd love to get to all of your questions today, so please feel free to ask away, and we'll definitely answer all of your questions at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, I will pass the torch over to Tommy Lee. Tommy, thanks again for putting this together.
Appreciate it, Brian. Thank you very much. For many of you who are in the audience, many may already know Fanvil, but there's always a handful that don't. So I just put together a couple of, just one or two slides just to kind of give you a quick overview of who we are. I mean, similar to VoIP supply, Fanvil's been around for close to 21 years. And, we've been actually not only just building our own solutions as well, but we've also have a huge manufacturing facilities that is spread throughout the world, and that we also not only build for us, but we also build for many other solutions as well, as you will see later on in the slide set. Obviously, VoIP Supply is our primary master distributor in North America. And what we'd like to do is to just show that we are a global business, bringing our solutions throughout all the world, and we actually are located worldwide here. But myself and Brian, we're primarily responsible here in America, and we're here to serve your specific needs, as Brian mentioned earlier before. One of the things that you'll notice is besides Fanvil, we've recently introduced a brand called Linkville, and the relationship is that Linkville is to Fanvil as Bronco is to Ford. Really, we're coming out with a large spread of wireless solutions, of which we're decided to sort of label it sort of a sub-brand called Linkville. So when you see that name, you kind of know where the parent company is from Fanvil. That's just FYI. Now let's go over some of the product spectrums that what we're doing today. So very often when people work with Fanvil, they typically operate in one or possibly in the security spectrum or SIP spectrum, but very often there's a good handful that go ahead and spread across the whole ride. So I think to understand where we are with our roadmap, you have to kind of understand of the overall pillars that we actually have. You could divide our product into 3 separate categories, whereas in the SIP security industry, we're actually coming out with a lot of security controls. And the one common thread that you can spread throughout all of these solutions is that these are all SIP-based endpoints. They're not analog phones or analog peripherals. All these are IP or /SIP-based endpoints. So with that in mind, it's all made to really cooperate with either the cloud-based or on-prem cloud service providers that interface to all of these peripherals that touch the individual, you and me. So in that case, I'll go over these things in more detail in the future. We have everything from intercoms, access control, indoor panels, everything from PA systems. And then on our phone side, there's really 2 different categories within the SIP phone. We have business phones, obviously, that actually we list here, but we also have a specific hospitality phone as well that we designed specifically to address the unique needs of the hospitality environment. And then I go over to Linkville, which is something I mentioned earlier. And these are some of the wireless products that we've introduced so far. Some of the intro products that we came out with really stems around our Wi-Fi solutions. And you'll see in our product roadmap, we're coming up with a lot more wireless solutions moving forward. Now, some of the existing products in the Fanvil SIP phones, although we're coming out, our largest sellers is our V series here, as well as our XU series here. This is just a blowout that everybody can see our entire spectrum, and supplementing our high volume units that we sell on top, we have our X series phones too as well. And one of the most popular ones that we have in our X series is our X210, because it's a phone that we've designed specifically for the front desk office. That's a phone that we actually incorporated sidecars onto the phone itself so that there's no need to work with 2, 3, or 4 separate firmware images. All of it is loaded on one phone and can be deployed very easily as well. Then I talked a little bit of expansion about the hospitality environment, where we have unique features such as black and white phones with and without displays, offering unique capabilities in the hospitality environment, coupled with some peripheral small units that could fit in the bathroom and sort of the common area locations in 3 separate colors in both red, black, and white, depending on what your needs are. Just to make a note, just even a change in color, if you're needing of an emergency phone, we also have a red-based business phone in case you want to go ahead and address business applications as well. Skipping on to the other pillar of SIP security industry products, all of these products we're shipping today. These are our intercom products here that we have with and without video. one button or two buttons, depending on what your needs are. And they stem across everywhere from outdoor solutions here all the way to indoor commercial gateways here. And all of these things can actually have the capability of supporting Wi-Fi as well as direct Ethernet connection directly to these ports. We've also designed some interesting things in the medical world where we actually have designed these things to meet the medical environment, providing some bedside, function keys where a person can lie in the bed and be able to go ahead and push buttons without having to reach for the wall-set speakers. Then you have door access units that we're selling today, everything ranging from one button, several buttons, all the way to a full keypad that includes video as well. And coupling that, we also have our PA gateways, which is something that, the PA3 and the PA2S is something that we provide into the market. It's a very popular product that you use to interface with paging amplifiers and everything as one of many different applications. We've also introduced an IP ceiling speaker that's also compatible with SIP. So in case you want to move into an IP environment, that's what we do. In addition to that, what we have today is we sell indoor stations. And indoor stations is a fantastic alternative as opposed to having a phone posted on your wall or on your desk. Many people just want to have access control so that when somebody rings you at the gate or at the back dock or even at your front door, you want to see a widescreen display that shows that person is a delivery person for you or a truck driver who just wants you to open the gate. You could then just push a button and be able to gain easy access for them to come in. Or you may just want to go ahead and announce a notice throughout the buildings for like emergency scenarios. All that can be coupled with these console phones so that you can have a central console phone that can interface with all of these units put together and that you can control who has access to what and can gain intercom and communications throughout your office building or campus. And starting with the Linkville wireless UC products, we introduced a product with the W611W, which is our ruggedized Wi-Fi phone. I'll go ahead and list out, but these are some of the feature sets. And if you want a copy of this presentation, by the way, feel free to go out and reach out to anyone at VoIP Supply or Brian. We'll be more than happy to send you a PDF of this document. Coupling with the ruggedized, we also have a commercial version, which is the W610. This one's a little less ruggedized, but it brings down the cost factor. So if you have a small business environment that's cost sensitive, you can go ahead and do this. But if you have a warehouse environment that you easily drop phones, both of these phones have drop values, but the ruggedized phones takes a much higher step. Beyond that, we also have a VoIP gateway. This is a very interesting product that we introduced the latter part of 23. We've actually developed a gateway that provides companies the ability to talk to security staff that walk around with walkie-talkies through a SIP gateway. So you can actually put this on your network and be able to communicate with people that walk around with walkie-talkies that have miles and miles of range, and to establish a two-way conversation between anybody with a SIP phone and someone with a walkie-talkie. What does that do? That provides faster access for the people who are remote and can give people some guidance in real time rather than having an expensive radio to communicate within a closed environment. Now let's just talk about the new products. Those are all the products that we sell today. Now let's dive into our roadmap. In addition to the roadmap, I talked a little bit about the Y product before, but I want to get into really the phones that we talked about. I mentioned about the AW10, which is our Wi-Fi product with a single button that has Wi-Fi capabilities. And I mentioned a little bit about the W712. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the future. Now we have a new product introduced with the V63 in our business line. Following this, I'll show a slide that really shows where this is positioned. And something that a lot of our partners express excitement about is a big button IP phone. Like Brian, I've spent many years in this industry, and people have always come to me and saying, hey, why can't you build a phone that's catered to someone in the retirement community and say, these buttons are way too small for my hands? Well, we finally did it. We came out with a nice button that caters to that, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as well. Obviously, with the Wi-Fi phone, we came out with a commercial unit here. And then with the console phone, we decided to add a camera onto the A3320i. We came out, we've always sold an A32i, but adding a 0 onto it gives it bi-directional capability so that not only can it show video, but you could also project yourself on these images. You know, we've gotten a lot of demand for these console phones to have two-way audio and two-way video, and now this console phone does that. And obviously with these in the bottom, I'll talk a lot about this moving forward in the future slides. Now let's just start off with the V63 in our business phones. When we came out, we always introduced the 64, 65, the 67, and the 62. And then we received a lot of demand stating, you know what, wouldn't it be great if in these new accounts, if we could develop a baseline phone and got rid of the monochrome and developed it in color. And that's exactly what we did. So we really took the baseline requirements, keeping the cost low, and developed that low-cost phone with a video screen. If you want things like a fully fledged and fully loaded phone, which includes Bluetooth, integrated Wi-Fi, and everything else, then you can look at our 64, which is our mid-range, going to our executive Linux-based environment to the 65, ultimately landing in the Android V67 moving forward, which has nearly all of the particular features that people will look for in an executive phone. Now a little bit about a big button phone. This big button phone is really, really unique because what we've done, obviously, besides increasing the phones, is that we put some really good differentiating features. And the reason why I state that, down here, we indicated 433 megahertz wireless buttons because these buttons come in wall mount, as well as you could hang a button that's a necklace around your neck, so that in case somebody falls and they can't get up or something like that, there's an actual batteryless button that you can push as an accessory that will function as a help key. And you could program, if you're located near the phone, to press this help to have somebody come into your room or to call you to go to your apartment, or you can have this batteryless button that you can push that has a dedicated button that will allow this phone to go ahead and reach out to somebody saying, I need some help in getting up off the floor. Very, very unique features. And with these larger buttons, you could put things like the pictures of their family, helpers, or what have you in these big buttons so that they know exactly who they're speaking with. And this is all outfitted with a lot of good features, with a color screen, obviously, looking at one-click emergency call that I mentioned earlier before. And these are the quick wireless buttons that I'm talking about here. You could really hang this either on your keychain or around your necklace. But all of these things, you know, really cater to that, provide those little added extras that make a phone far more friendlier in that particular vertical. In addition to the large buttons, we also outfitted it with braille dots so that you can go ahead and actually have people, you know, that have visual impairments read what kind of screen they are as well. Some of the specs that we have here, these are just, you know, a 2-SIP line phone that does some of the basic things, but it's also outfitted with integrated Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, as well as a Gig-E interface. So it really is a well-packed unit as a phone itself. And obviously, this can be coupled with a lot of different features moving forward, using the console phone to control many of these things in an application environment. Now let's talk about the A320i. We've taken our existing 320i and decided to expand that particular phone into a new market by being able to add a camera here. And with the camera, we also made some enhancements with the handset so that you can push to mute. And what you end up with is really a button that you could speak on the microphone and be able to communicate with the world outside of you. And this screen has been really programmed to work similar to our button phone on the 210, where you can use this as a receptionist phone as well moving forward. It also can come in 2 separate colors if that's something that you want to look for, just to add a little bit of flexibility within your particular environment. Now we have the A10W, which is really our mini SIP intercom. This is a commercial intercom that's designed for indoor commercial use. And we've really simplified by being able to add and push a button, and you can use this to communicate from room to room in your office, in your house, or depending on wherever you want to do. And very often people walk into the front desk and you can use this as a key that if the receptionist is out, you can push that key to call any specific group of people moving forward. And it does have the Wi-Fi capability added so that you don't necessarily have to have a wire to get this communication going towards your audio network. These are some of the more details that you want. You could add these as function keys, but the one, obviously, to make it very simple as possible, you want the simple one key that's actually marked, but you can use those as other function keys as well. And on the back, you could also integrate other hardware. You might have another key where you want a much larger emergency key or other sensors that you can also use this to trigger other events. So it's a lot more than just an audio intercom. You can use this as a bridge to connect many other peripherals as well. Some of the specs on the SIP Mini Intercom is that you can have it here. Obviously, it's a 2-line interface based on Linux, and it also supports Opus so that you can get clear audio communication as well. Obviously, there's a little box that's included here, which is the wall mountable design. This is a Y series, which really takes that to the next step and really caters it to a medical environment. Obviously, similar to it, where you can actually use a wireless connection to communicate to this, but we've added some additional features to give it remote capability while having a hard connection. In case you want to put this next to a hospital bed or a leaning bed, you can have these buttons everywhere else, but it has a similar function to the A series that I just talked about before. Obviously, you can have different types of function keys depending on what code you want to do. So they're labeled, green, yellow, and red, depending on what type of functionality that you're kind of seeking. And all of these are in stock at VoIP Supply if you're interested in evaluating this specific solution. Here's a specification for it, and this just takes this and talks a little bit more about the button models as well that may interface with this type of unit as well. Now let's move on to the i66 and i67. In the previous slides, I showed that we had everything from a single button, multiple buttons, to a keypad. Here we're taking that line and we're actually expanding it to include a larger display. In a multi-dwelling environment, you may want to have a list of tenants and all that may all of a sudden, you may want to sort through first name, last name. You may not know their apartment number. This will provide that level of capability. You may want to take it a step further and add facial recognition as well, where you can go ahead and recognize a person's face, either entering a building, an office, or particularly an office building, so that if you're in the database, you can just walk by, it will recognize your face, and it'll be able to let you to go in. But we don't give up on the hard key application on either one of these models moving forward. Here are some of the spec keys on the i66. Where we actually have it, and they all comply to very, very strict IP66 and IK07 standardization in terms of ruggedness, and that we have this, and these are all SIP-based applications. They're not analog, and they contain cameras on these units so that not only you can watch this on any TV camera, but many of the phones that I showed before, which has an integrated H.264 codec, can actually monitor the videos that come out of these things, and it makes it a plug-and-play solution while pairing it with our specific access control. With the i67, the display gets expanded a little bit more by including a soft keypad, facial recognition as well, and just expands on the capabilities that we can do that, and that provides 2 models within the specific access control. And you can put this in anything that you want to do to really gain an outdoor ruggedized unit so that you can use this to enter your office or residential building. Now with the i5X, that takes care of the access on the outside. What do you do on the inside? Because it has cameras, Not everybody is excited about having a phone hanging on their cubicle, their office, or their residential wall. So we've actually developed flat screen interfaces that come in several different flavors and interfaces. We have Linux as well as Android models in several different models here that we provide different dimensions to meet your specific requirements, so that, you know, if you have a favorite in terms of Android, that you might have an APX design that you may want to display your model, we have a model for you. Or if you want to work in a strict Linux environment, we have that as well. All of these support integrated Wi-Fi for a quick installation and provide you with a flat screen, giving you that large display so you know who's at the gate or who's at the back dock without necessarily having a phone that sports this large of a display, which actually saves you, so it's primed to do what it was meant to be designed for, giving you to see who's out there and giving you some control over who comes in and who leaves your particular office. Obviously, with all of these units, we have a spreadsheet that we can go throughout. As I mentioned before, there are several different operating systems that it'll go across, but all of these support the high definition audio and video, as well as Wi-Fi requirements, making this an easy plug and play application. They're all made to be wall mountable as you would see fit. Now I mentioned about the W712 VoIP gateway. What is this gateway? Many people who've actually traveled to the airport will note that very often these people that ride in these vans that pick you up at the airport with off-airport parking, they all walk around and communicate with walkie-talkies, because, you know, that has a range of miles away from where headquarters is. But in order to speak to these people, you actually need to be able to have another walkie-talkie. And unfortunately, many people at the front desk or at the administrative office may experience a situation where they need to encounter security or particular help staff or staff, and they don't necessarily have a walkie-talkie to communicate with them. But if they have a SIP phone, which is the largest vehicle used in business communication today, they can gain access to anybody with an analog walkie-talkie and have bi-directional communication. So with that, these are some of the particular specifications that we have here. This is not meant to be a technical thing, but any analog device out there, whether it's analog or digital, within this particular UHF frequency, these things would be able to hook in with this particular unit, and anybody with a SIP phone can go ahead and push a button and gain access to those radios out there that could be miles away and establish a two-way communication. So what we've done is broken that knit circle amongst radio to radio, and now be able to open up a port so that anybody with a SIP phone can contact anyone with a radio, as long as they have the right extension and everything to reach them. This is just an application scenario where you can go ahead and have someone initiate a call here from a console phone or even an intercom, going through the PBX and the VoIP gateway, and could reach any of the analog or digital or specific even Wi-Fi phones that are out there, and actually have come back. And you could also initiate and establish group calls as well. They too, on the other hand, could initiate a call the other way around and say, can communicate with this gateway, which will make a SIP call to any specific individual or office in two ways. So this really opens up some channels and be able to create a bi-directional communication across a forum that was inaccessible with SIP in the past. Now with the W610 portable Wi-Fi phone, this is a phone that we've taken some of the ruggedness outside of the ruggedized version, but created an affordable Wi-Fi phone so that you can go walk around in your office and be able to be not tied down, and use your actual Wi-Fi access to be able to communicate to everybody in the office. So contrary to DEC phones, this doesn't require a base station where most people sit today. If you have an SSID with a password, you could program it on this phone and roam around wherever you can. And it does have roaming capabilities where you can cross into separate networks, so it will automatically log on and be able to do things. And similar to our ruggedized phone, you can actually have buttons on the side which would give you access to a soft screen of many different buttons as well. So it kind of gives you the flexibility of a desk phone, but now you're not limited to one location. Obviously, This has many of the different features that are sported through our ruggedized phone as well. And you can depend on this to really support not just one, but also to have all of the hi-fi features that you could expect, 9 hours of talk time and extended long standard standby times as well that far exceed a day in the office. Obviously, with here, we have the 610W and the 611W in case you want to go ahead and make a side-by-side comparison. And one of the things that we've actually done with the commercial is we've actually added a vibration alarm as well, so that you can go ahead and feel if someone is calling you and be notified in a silent mode to do that. Just to give you a heads up, we may be adding that type of feature on the W at this point since we added it here, but that's coming in on a future model that's not necessarily reflected on this portion here. But like our phones, they all come with Bluetooth capabilities, so that even though you have this mounted in your purse or in your belt, you could also have a Bluetooth compatibility with this in case you don't want to move anything. And this could support all the talk time and the standard hours that you could be looking for. This is just a quick application of where you want to put, to 210. Obviously, it could work side by side with any of the desk phones, and you could share a particular extension or a dock, or extension with any of these phones as possible, so that when both rings, it'll just pick up on whichever peripheral that suits your specific needs in the office place. Then the Linkville CA400. This is an exciting mini conference room that we're actually coming out with. And this is a video conferencing kit. Now, when you combine this kit, this entire kit fits in a shoebox, which means that both the camera, the actual speaker, as well as the unit that fits behind the TV set can also be connected to a conferencing table, eliminating the need for an HDMI cable to come from the TV into the table. Very often in the old legacy video conferencing systems, people had to walk either to the corner front so that if they wanted to present something, we actually have a remote USB connector that connects directly to your USB laptop so that the person could stay behind their seat and actually have an ongoing microphone that can speak into a camera that actually has framing capabilities that can move up and do it. The great thing about it is that this is very portable, and it's also very affordable in terms of offering 90% of all the features that most people use. And there's a 2-push button here that goes around that can easily operate just by a push of a button to make it work. So one press screen sharing. So once you get connected to a computer, we have both adapter cables that you can connect either to a C connector on your output or a standard HDMI on your laptop. So this thing is really made to adapt to a lot of different laptop scenarios, no different than the hard laptop that you have connected coming off the cable, which are typically limited to HDMI. We noticed that laptops are migrating into a USB-C connector, and so we've made these adjustments, and the adapter is much easier, so you can rotate this around to whomever wants to share their screen in an SMB environment. Obviously, we have a camera, which is a real critical part. This has AI auto framing so that whether you have one person, 4 people, or even 5 people or more, this will automatically frame and optimize the frame ideal to whomever is actually in there. And this hooks into a very easy controllable system, which is magnetized. And you can hide this in the back of the TV set where you can all of a sudden hook this in, and this wirelessly connects to the dongle that goes around the table so that people in the seat can actually talk, and you have this missing connection that connects the big TV all the way onto your table so that you have a wireless connection, and it provides a very easy step-by-step to do this. Here's the connection, by the way, and either using a Type-C or using an HDMI adapter that comes alongside of it. So it adapts to all the different laptop environments, whether you have legacy HDMI or you have a C port that brings out HDMI. Either way would work and would be seamless in terms of being able to communicate this, and requires no plugins. It works with the existing drivers on your actual laptop. So this makes it a very easy plug-and-play solution. And this is just a quick, easy way to kind of shows all it is. And frankly speaking, this is almost, a retail type of thing because you require no training to put this together. Just plug in the HDMI and this back unit and hook in the camera, and you're basically all set. moving forward. And we intend to put videos, and we intend to show this at the upcoming expos like IT Expo and channel partners to really demonstrate this thing on the floor. So if you happen to be out in those shows, we encourage you to stop by and go ahead and take a look yourself. With that said, I'll pass the microphone back on to Brian, and that ends my presentation.
Tommy, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to teach us all about what's coming through Fanvil. As a distributor, VoIP Supply couldn't be more excited, and I personally can't be more excited. I already see applications for the Wi-Fi phone. I've had many questions before about a VoIP gateway, so that's super cool. And
Yep.
I love how disruptive that CA400 is too. That's a really awesome device. I could even see us using that at VoIP Supply as well, to be honest with you, or myself personally. I think that's such a great solution. I did want to head to some of the questions that we did receive here, if that's okay with you, Tommy.
Absolutely. That's what I'm here for.
Absolutely. And thank you so much to everyone who joined again. We appreciate you taking the time out of your busy days. We know how precious your time is, and we definitely want to be engaging as possible to maximize your time. So feel free to continue to ask away while we address these. Tommy, the first question we have is, can we get a better explanation of how the Linkville push-to-talk works on Wi-Fi phones?
Push to talk, meaning when you say push to talk, which solution are you speaking about? The buttons on the
Yeah,
big button phone, or?
yeah, it looks like they were referring to the push-to-talk on the, it looks like the Linkville phone. So I would
Oh, the
say like
Wi-Fi phone.
the
Oh, absolutely.
W610, 611, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. The push to talk really almost, it kind of mimics a walkie-talkie type environment. You can really program that key to really kick off like an emergency. You can have something that when you push it, it'll actually provide sort of a quick access on the side, because although the front center key gives you that left and right capability to access speed dials, but very often if you happen to have an emergency situation, you fell off the forklift or something like that, you want to just grab a quick button on the side. Similar to many of the people who have smartphones today, you have one button that kind of turns off your display, or you can set it to call 911 if you wanted to. It operates the same way, where you could just have a quick physical button that you can push that will operate things that you need, that you use very often in case of emergency, or something that you use every day, So you could look at that as a quick button, as similar to a button that you use frequently on your smartphone as well.
That's awesome. Again, there's really a multitude of applications for that product too.
Yep.
Um, can the i10W, Tommy, can that
Yes.
run on a battery so it can be standalone?
Well, the interface to it is actually meant for Ethernet or PoE.
Mhm.
So technically speaking, if you could mimic that and provide the same voltage and amperage as you would an Ethernet provider, absolutely.
For
In
sure.
fact, but a lot of the A10s, right? You can actually have that operate, and you can power that either through a remote wires, but as long as you specify those connections to I guess a storage system that provides the same voltage and amperage, from a product standpoint, it doesn't know the difference, on what it's plugged into. Very often on the shows, what I do sometimes is I take a very large lithium battery that I use just to even power up the remote phones, because you can use that as any sort of remote supply and use the Wi-Fi connection to go ahead and do that. But the A10 was really designed to have a hard Ethernet connection, and if you can mimic the voltage and amperage
Amperage, yeah.
specification, it would work. Yeah.
That's excellent. That's excellent. It's a great idea too. Like you said, as long as you mimic that voltage and amperage, it should be in the clear there.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to mention too is that when you do that, to configure that device, it will be assigned an IP address. So initially you could configure it under a PC environment, because then it would need a full interface to do it. And then will it operate alone, remotely? That's another way to do it as well. But obviously you could connect to it either through Wi-Fi or through a hard Ethernet, very similar to how you would operate a Wi-Fi capable desk phone.
Excellent. Thank you. Now, Tommy, this question came up while we were talking about the Y501s. Can that device, that phone, I guess you would call it, or intercom, understand voice commands? Like, for example, call Fred, and Fred, assuming Fred's in the phone book.
Yeah.
List of
Well, there
contacts.
is no voice recognition on these particular intercoms. I mean, these intercoms is almost a ruggedized SIP endpoint. There is no Siri, Alexa, whatever software behind it to
Right.
say, can you do this? There's a lot of software intelligence that it's connected to. These things provide what I would call the foundation to communicate with people. They're made to sit in a parking lot in a ruggedized environment, to say in a campus. If somebody needs help, you can push a button and ask for help there. It's not really meant to sit in a quiet environment, because some of these are designed outdoors, and you can listen to wind noise and everything else like that. And it's really made to address person-to-person talks, not necessarily not to simulate AI.
Right, exactly. I'd imagine you could maybe find something close on that if you're using like one of the Android-based i50s indoor solution. Maybe there's something through Android that has some sort of voice recognition through phone book. I'm
Oh
not
yeah, I
sure,
mean,
but
the people that develop these APK modules, they develop the output to look, and respond to many different items. So what we do is we provide the house that these applications can write on, and what they do
right.
is they can end up writing the actual software application to cater to whatever particular needs that they do. So when you look at that, we provide the platform, but then ultimately it's the Android plugin that provides the capability that you can load onto it, and it can do whatever you specifically want it to do. You have some people that use some of the indoor stations as just monitors to say, here's the exit output for emergency scenarios, and it'll just put whatever floor you're on or make whatever emergency announcements, and you could program it to do whatever you want it to do.
Thank you for the explanation there as well,
Yep.
Tommy. Let's move on to the W712, the VoIP gateway. Uh,
Yes.
so now the question is, I would like to know more about VoIP calling channels. Like, is there one-to-one and one-to-group? Maybe you can give a brief explanation of that.
Yeah, I mean, the weakest, not the weakest, but it's limited to the radio's capability. Obviously,
Right.
radios come in two different flavors, whether it's analog or digital on the radio side of it. And the intent here is to really provide a gateway port, enabling anybody with a SIP phone, whether it's the receptionist, principal, what have you, to really gain access to the people walking with these walkie-talkies. So if the walkie-talkie is half duplex, you can't convert a half duplex conversation into a full duplex. But what you can do is that the radio can then communicate into the gateway, of which will trigger a call onto whomever wants to speak to. So it really is bi-directional. And you can find this by just going to our product website. Just go to products, Linkville, and then look at the 712. There's actually a user manual and specifications, which will give you a lot more detail there as well. And if you run into issues, feel free to give VoIP Supply or us a call and any questions you might have, and we can dig deeper on whatever specific issues.
Absolutely.
Yep.
A question for the X305. Do the KT10 and KT20 work? How
Yes.
far away? How
Yeah,
far
in
away or
fact,
at what
I mean, they're run by frequencies. It's a good question on what type of distance it is, but I do know that it works within any specific rooms,
Mhm.
because when you push the button, it actually releases a pulse that that's a good question. I don't know the pulse distance off the top of my head, but if you happen to have fallen, you push it and it releases this pulse that the phone will respond to, and it will execute whatever you have in that help key. So that if you have that help key to say, oh, John Smith is needing you in room 205 or something like that, that will be the action that URL will be able to pull in, and they'll come into the room accordingly. So it really is a way of taking a function key of a phone and have it wrapped around your neck, or you could mount it to a wall, depending on how you want to do that. But it is a good question that I can take on those key kits on the actual distance. I'm sure it's specified there. I just don't happen to know it off the top of my head.
Yeah, for sure. And
Mhm.
that's sometimes limited by the type of technology. So if it's decked, it's generally around 300 feet. And of course, the
Yep.
mileage varies based upon the
Oh yeah.
building materials, indoor, outdoor, time of day, it seems sometimes, but
Yeah.
the
I mean,
mileage
so
does vary with decked.
yeah.
And next question, actually, Tommy, I believe we have um, another slide. There it is. Uh, Free provisioning on all Fanvil products right now. How do you
Yes.
get access to that?
Oh,
Answer would be pretty simple. Contact myself here,
yep.
Brian Hyrick, over at VoIP Supply, or your prospective sales rep if you're already working with someone from our team, and we'd love to help you out. We'll get you all set up. You can enjoy free provisioning on all Fanvil products right now. That ends March 31st, so really a healthy time period. Take advantage of VoIP Supply's provisioning services, coupled with Fanvil's awesome product line and their complete white labeling offerings as well. Um, Definitely contact us. We really want to help you out with that and give you the introduction and show you what that white glove experience is like. I assure you, it's like dealing with no other distributor. Um, there is another question as well, Tommy. Time frame for link fill phones supported with 3CX. Anything in the works there?
Oh yeah, I mean, even with those phones, with the Linkful Wi-Fi phones, we actually have templates that we've handed out to dozens of customers already. So if you're seeking to do that, it takes a little bit of time depending on what the 3CX rev schedule is. But we already have a developed templates that work with it, and you can get a jump start before they offer it on the menu. You can cheat, their release schedule by just having us send you the template, and you can go ahead and use that to program the Linkville phones to work on 3CX.
Absolutely. And okay, I think that's all the questions we have. Tommy, if you want to go to that last slide, I think the contact information is up for us again. If
Yep.
you guys want to jot that down, I'll also be reaching out for a one-on-one so we can discuss your free provisioning, discuss the disruptive service and pricing that VoIP Supply has available. We're really eager to help you out in 2024. We've been seeing tons of growth with Fanvil, and we want to facilitate that growth and make sure you have access to that as well. I know there's a lot of solutions that our resellers have been enjoying from Fanvil and service providers have been enjoying from Fanvil, and I've heard success stories of those Fanvil products helping grow and facilitate new business. So Tommy, thank you so much again for taking the time out of your day. We always love having you, and we really appreciate the partnership.
Same here, Brian. I mirror your comments.
And thank you so much, everyone. Until next time, thanks again for stopping by.
Thank you all.